Good morning, everybody. Welcome to, is that working? Yeah. Welcome to our Premises Personal Licences Subcommittee on Monday, the 20th of July 2026. We'll move to item 1 on the agenda, election of a chairman for the meeting. The subcommittee to elect a chairman. Thank you. So I'm Councillor Jo Henderson and I will be chairing the meeting this morning. Now move to item 2, which are apologies for absence and substitutions.
Thank you, Chairman. There have been no apologies received.
Thank you. So we move to item 3, which the minutes of the last meeting can be found on pages 5 to 16. Can we confirm these? Yep. Proposed by Councillor Davidson, seconded by Councillor Cousins. Thank you. Now move to item 4 on the agenda, declarations of interest. Do we have any? There are none. So now move to item 5, which is the report of the Assistant Director of Corporate Policy and Support, grant of a premises licence, the Beach Bar, Unit 3, Seaview Court, Pier Approach, Walton on the Naze, CO14 8DZ, found on pages 17 to 44.
Thank you, Chair. The matter before you today is an application for the grant of a premises licence submitted by Mr William Hebborn in respect of the Beach Bar, Unit 3, Seaview Court, Pier Approach, Walton on the Naze, Essex. The premises has been described as accommodating the Gold Dust Family Entertainment Centre arcade, with a proposed bar situated within one section of the arcade. The application seeks authority for the premises to be open to the public and for the sale of alcohol for consumption both on and off the premises daily between the hours of 12 noon and 10 p.m. The full application is set out on pages 23 to 31 of the report. During the application process, Mr Hebborn contacted the licensing authority to seek advice regarding the potential removal of the arcade element and the use of the premises solely as a licensed venue. He was advised that any proposed amendments to the application would need to be submitted in writing, clearly outlining the requested changes, the reason for those changes, and any revised plans where applicable. He was also informed that any amendments received would be circulated to all responsible authorities and to those parties who had submitted valid representations for their consideration. A copy of this query was circulated to the responsible authorities for their information. An alternative plan was submitted by Mr Hebborn on the 24th of June 2026, the final day of the consultation period. This was circulated to all responsible authorities for their review and consideration. To date, no written amendments to the application have been received. In accordance with the requirements of the Licensing Act 2003, the standard consultation has been undertaken with responsible authorities and members of the public. Mr Hebborn is in attendance today to support the application and answer any questions members or the other parties may have. As a result of that consultation, 3 representations have been received from members of the public. These can be found on pages 33 to 37 of the report. We have 2 of the objectors in attendance today to present their concerns and to respond to any questions from members or the applicant. In addition, 1 representation has been received from a responsible authority, namely the Licensing Authority, which contends that granting the licence would undermine all 4 of the licensing objections. This representation can be found on pages 39 to 43 of the report. John Leonard, Licensing Enforcement Officer, and Michael Cook, Licensing Manager, are present today in support of that representation and to answer any questions from members or the applicant. Members are reminded that the application must be considered on its own individual facts and merits, with regard only to its potential impact on the 4 licensing objectives. The committee is therefore asked to determine this application, taking into account the application before it, all relevant information contained within the report, and any matters arising during the hearing today. Chair and members, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for our licensing officer at this point? So we'll move to the applicant. Mr. Heavenly, if you've got anything you would like to address the committee with, now's your time. Welcome, thank you.
Majorly, I did write to the council that the licensing team said if it would make it easier and better to have to remove the arcade element, I would do that. But then they said they had to put an application in. They said it probably wouldn't affect nothing here today, so there was no point in doing that. So it's the bar was previously a bar for many years before I was here. It's been a bar all its life in the same location. It's been vacant for several years, and we're giving people what they want. They want a bar in the area which they can just walk up to and buy a drink. So, yeah.
Thank you. Have we got any questions at this time for the applicant? Yep, you can. Obviously, if you'd like to introduce yourself before you speak.
Catherine Griffin. I'm a resident of Clifton Court, and my flat is right opposite the pier and the area. I just want to point out, when Mr. Hebbon said that was a bar for many years, that it's housed the Sanctuary Bar, but this shouldn't be set as a precedent because that was closed in the early 2000s, and when that was a bar, Clifton Court flats, 17 flats weren't built and the Seaview flats weren't occupied.
Can I say something as well?
Do you have a question for the applicant at this time? You will have your opportunity to
I
to
just
put your
wanted to
objections
point
in.
out that when it was a hotel,
So,
sorry, I'm Hayley Mann, and I also live at Clifton Court as well, and I am the closest to the burger vans and the pier. When it was a bar at that time, they had working toilets. I don't believe Mr. Hedburn has toilets in the arcade.
is that a question for Mr.
Have you
Hepburn?
got you have got toilets.
Oh yes, I do.
Are they customer toilets?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Councillor Cousins. Thank you.
Yes, hello. I was looking through your application and I noticed that you haven't stated how many staff you would be having in there. And I know that obviously with protection of children from harm, etc., and crime and disorder, you would probably need to have people there obviously to monitor what's going on. As you've stated, but you haven't said how many staff you would have.
Is that okay to answer you?
Yes.
Yes, sorry. There'll be four bar staff in there, and we shall have like not a doorman, but security just walking around ensuring no one's drinking and doing so.
With CCTV, etc.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Davidson.
Oh, are you saying now that the toilet on this drawing is now installed?
Yes.
It is.
It wasn't at the time, but we didn't think we needed to because I thought it was just if you was serving food in a venue, you need to have a toilet, but apparently you need to have it for a bar.
And to be clear, that will be for the public?
Yes, 100%.
The other thing is, looking at the drawing, it's quite a big area now you're taking the machines out. Is there not a fire exit?
There's two doors.
The door's at the front, but does it not need a fire exit at the back with this compact area? There's
nowhere to go at the back. At the back of it is there is a door. Where your left thumb is,
yeah,
just there. That's a fire escape there as well.
Well, it's not on the drawing.
No, it can be as fire escape if we need to. That's what I'm saying. It's a
Where would it be? By the bar?
No, go down in that bottom corner there. There's
Yeah.
a big 6-foot square door which we use to get the machines in and out for the arcades.
Just to be clear here.
Yeah, just up a little bit, just there. Be pennies there.
So I've got to do that here. So
It can be if it needs to be, but when we had it as a arcade, it was no different to how it is now. And they didn't, and the fire chief came down, and we got all the fire alarms and everything in there, and they said everything was quite happy because it's quite, the doors are far apart to go in or out.
okay, so did they make a comment about
No,
that?
no.
They didn't?
It's not actually that. To be fair, the actual building, it's like from that wall to me. That's how big it is.
Yeah, 55 by 27.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
never.
Thank you. Can I just ask, on page 28 on D, it says any noise will be monitored and any litter will be removed. Could you elaborate on what's in process or what you've got in place for that process? Thank you.
What's this for? The noise? The noise in. Sorry.
Prevention of public nuisance, and you put any noise will be monitored.
Yeah.
If you could elaborate on how it will be monitored, and obviously after that, any litter will be removed. So
Yeah.
what you've got in place for those two things.
Well, obviously we have waste management ongoing there. We have big Viola bins that the rubbish goes into, so that's where the rubbish is all being collected, because we had comments about rubbish in the past. So to be fair, Viola has let us down quite a bit. They were supposed to collect rubbish and they didn't collect, and it's a long story, but that was that. And the noise, again, if anything gets excessive, we shall say to the people, just quieten down. But we're dead opposite Walton Pier. We're not in a cul-de-sac. Do you know what I mean? The noise is sort of there all the time anyway. So there'll be nothing no more than what's going on there as is.
If you could wait, obviously I'll come back to you and you'll have your opportunity, but you don't just interrupt. Thank you. So what you're saying is noise will be monitored, but there's noise there, so there wouldn't actually be anything in place if people were being disruptive.
Yeah, if anything was coming directly from our premises, then obviously we would step in and say, listen, we need to quieten down or whatever, but there's no sort of music in there at the moment going on or anything, so we can, if there was, we could keep that to a satisfactory level. But I say mainly it's just for people to walk up, buy a pint and walk off to the beach, what they're actually asking for.
And obviously on B, it's got the prevention of crime and disorder. You stated there will be CCTV.
Yes.
And there will be signs displaying antisocial behaviour, drug use or violence will not be tolerated. But having a sign up doesn't necessarily implement.
No.
So what have you, could you
It
explain
would be
what you've got in place for
The
that?
staff, again, will be monitoring it very rigorously.
Also, you've, the protection of children from harm on E, you've put again, there will be under 25 signs located in and around the bar.
Yeah.
So
If the bar stays as it is with the arcade in the side, then we shall have barriers across with signs saying no under 25s allowed in this area. But if it doesn't, if the arcade goes, then it'd be related to the whole area.
are there any further questions from councillors? I said, are there any further questions from councillors? Obviously, councillors, it's our questions. Then I'll come back to you because you ask questions. You don't just interject. But we will come back to you. Sorry, I will. Can you hear me now? Yeah, thank you. Were there any further questions from councillors? No. So I will come back to you as the objectors. Do you have any further questions?
We've had many issues with Mr Hedborn's burger vans, which are adjacent to...
It's a question, obviously, if you've got a question for Mr Hedburn at this time, you will have time to give your objections to the committee. So it's, have you got a question for Mr Hedburn? Thank you.
Do you have disabled toilets in there and disabled access?
There's disabled access and there is disabled toilet, yes.
And do you have a specific music license? So you are going to play music. You're a little bit vague with that.
Yes.
Right. So when the music gets very loud, as it's already very loud for the burger vans, you're suggesting that the public and the residents just ask you to turn it down. You would do so.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, when the music's very loud,
Like yesterday.
you suggested that the people would just ask you to turn it down and you would do that. The music's often very loud, so
I
it's in a
don't think I
residential
did.
area, so any music in the residential area is exceptionally loud. You suggested that the pier has loud music. The pier never has loud music.
I don't think I did.
So when the music gets loud,
Yeah.
what do you suggest the residents would do?
The music won't be going loud.
It's already very loud from the burger vans, so...
I don't think these questions are relevant to what
Can
we're
I
talking
just
today.
interject? If there is an issue with excessively loud music, you can contact, obviously,
We're
the council to monitor the decibels.
regarding the burger vans, we're under
That
a
we're
lot of
not.
the councillors
We're here for what we've got.
department.
We're here for what we've got before us
Okay.
today. So we can't obviously go off onto other issues. That's a separate issue. It's about a licence this morning. So if you could stick to that, that would be good.
Is
Thank you.
the licence also for you to have people sat outside drinking on the area outside?
I don't know. I don't think that comes. It's because it's takeaway, so you can sit where they like. People can.
So it's takeaway, so it's not beer in glasses. Takeaway would mean it has to be bottles, isn't it?
Plastic glasses.
Plastic glasses. So then they can go and they're not having to drink it on your area. They can go and drink it anywhere in the street. Is that what you're saying?
They can either.
Sorry?
They can either drink it in the bar or on the beach or anywhere else they choose.
Oh right. So it's a licence for them to just take that alcohol anywhere in the surrounding area.
Yes. As is the pier has got exactly the same licence for many years.
Are there any further questions from either committee members? No? Or any further questions from yourselves at this point? Any questions from the licensing team? No?
Chair, if I must just confirm a few sections, if you can.
Thank
please.
you.
The premises has not held a previous licence under the Licensing Act 2003 since the Licensing Authority became responsible for these. And with regards to Mr Hebborn's comments about being able to drink the alcohol outside the premises, the plan only shows on the premises, so if he's going to be supplying tables and chairs outside, he would need to apply for a separate permit for those. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you. So we'll now move on to the responsible authority to obviously make your representations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, members of the committee, my name is John Leonard and I represent the Licensing Authority as a responsible authority under the Licensing Act 2003. The Licensing Authority's role is to promote the four licensing objectives: the promotion of the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, the protection of children from harm. Having reviewed the application and undertaken a site inspection, the Licensing Authority considered it necessary to make a representation because we were not satisfied that the application provided significant detail to demonstrate how these objectives would be promoted. The premises currently operates as a family entertainment centre and is by its nature a child-family focused environment. The application seeks permission for the sale of alcohol for consumption both on and off the premises. While the Licensing Authority does not object in principle to the sales of alcohol for the premises, appropriate safeguards must be in place, particularly where children form a significant part of the customer base. During our site visit and discussions with the applicant, a number of concerns arose. Initially, we were informed that there was no customer toilet facilities and that customers were expected to use public convenience some distance away. Given the proposal to sell alcohol, this raised obvious public safety and welfare concerns. Only after these concerns were raised did the applicant advise that facilities would be provided with an outbuilding at the rear of the premises. Additionally, a service hatch was introduced later in the process and only appeared on an amended plan after discussions with the licensing team. These developments suggested that the licence authority, the key aspects of the operation had not been fully developed or clearly presented when the application was originally submitted. A particular concern for the licensing authority is the protection of children from harm. The premises attracts families and children as part of its normal business. However, the application provided limited details regarding supervision arrangements, safeguarding measures, the management of vulnerable and unaccompanied children, and how alcohol sales would be controlled within a child-focused environment. The licensing authority also had concerns regarding the prevention of crime and disorder. The application contained little information on CCTV coverage, staffing arrangements, incident recording procedures, or the day-to-day controls that would be managed risk associated with alcohol sales. Public safety was another key concern. The interaction between adults consuming alcohol and children using amusement facilities requires careful management. In addition, the uncertainty surrounding the customer toilet provision and the operation of a serving hatch made it difficult for the licensing authority to properly assess the impact on the licensing objectives. The licensing authority will also consider the potential for public nuisance arising from off-sales of alcohol and the consumption of alcohol in the immediate vicinity of the premises. Chair, committee of the members of the committee, a particular concern for the licensing authority is the continuing involving nature of the application and the uncertainty it is created regarding the intended use of the premises. The original application sought authorisation for both on and off sales of alcohol within primarily a family and child-focused environment. However, during discussions with the licensing team, significant changes emerged. Customer toilet provision was only clarified after concerns were raised, and that the serving hatch was at a later stage introduced for an amended plan. Furthermore, Mr. Hebborn stated in an email to the licensing authority, would it make it a lot better if we did away with the arcade altogether and just used the building as a beach bar? This would put an end to a lot of the conditions. This comment gave the licensing authority further concern as it suggested that the nature of the operation under consideration was still being explored and had not been fully established when the application was submitted. The proposal appeared to move from a family entertainment centre seeking on and off sales of alcohol to a modern focus on sales via a serving hatch and then possibly standalone beach bar. The licensing authority is concerned that responsible authorities and members are being asked to determine an application where the operation model has evolved considerably throughout the consultation process. This makes it difficult to properly assess the likely impact on the licensing objective and whether the final operating arrangements have been fully considered before coming to this committee. In conclusion, the licensing authority asked members to carefully consider whether the licence objectives would be adequately promoted, taking into consideration the consistent changes of the application. If members are minded to grant the application, the licensing authority would request that the condition proposed within our representation be attached to the licence, together with a requirement that a suitable toilet facility are installed and available before alcohol sales commence. The purpose of our representation is not to prevent legitimate trade, but to ensure that licence objectives are met and properly safeguarded. Thank you, Chair. These are the submissions from the licensing authority.
Thank you for that. As the applicant, Mr. Hebborn, have you got any questions by way of clarification you want to ask of our licensing officer?
No. Obviously, when you came, I wasn't available. It was like a last-minute sort of thing to come along, and I wasn't available to see you. One of my staff members was there. Like I said, we didn't know we had to have toilets on site, because I just thought it was if it was a restaurant serving food, you had to have a toilet. But now it is a toilet where the office was. That is now the toilet facility for the bar. When I got the letter or email explaining that your concerns about the child-friendly and whatnot, I said, would it be easier to do away with the arcade? We're just keeping it in just as something more for people to do. Either way, we're happy. We can work it either way. If the arcade stays, we will just put the fence across so go back to the original plan, or we can just take the arcade side of it out. I had no sort of, you said in your email, your letter you read out then, that I was sort of changing consistency in what I was saying and doing. But I was working from, my brother-in-law owns a pier opposite, and I was with him for several years in there, and there's a bar in the pier, there's arcade machines in the pier, so I didn't really see much of a difference in the two sort of venues for people going into. CCTV, it didn't arrive, it's arrived now, so the cameras are now up in working. The serving on and off sales, I was always serving outside of the window, but we just took the window out and put the hatch there just to make it a bit more beach bar-y sort of themed was the idea. But no, that's about it.
Thank you. Have our objectors got any questions of clarification from our licensing officer?
Did you visit the premises?
Yes, we did attend
What
the
time of
visit.
day was that? And how many times?
Yeah, we went to visit the premises, and I think it was around about sort of midday, if I'm correct. And as I said,
So
initially,
what day of the week was it? It makes a difference because it's different there at the weekends to what it is in the week. It's basically a residential area, so I'm just interested what day and what time you went to visit and how many times.
Chair, if I may interrupt, the visit regarding this was in consultation to the application. So we looked at the application, what was involved, and spoke to the applicant. It wasn't a visit during the time. Obviously, they haven't got a licence at the moment, so it's just in view of the application.
My question
Thank you.
is pertinent because the application is for a 12 noon to 10 p.m. everyday licence. That area is basically a residential area and a thoroughfare for people walking on by. The pier on most days is closed at 5 o'clock. Sometimes in the peak season it's open until 8. And the pier is closed from November until Easter every year. So that's basically in those times a residential area, and you're potentially allowing a licence to sell alcohol between 12 noon and 10.
If I could interject, they're not allowing a licence. We will make the decision here for the
Sorry,
license.
so you
We will make the decision here for the licence today. So they haven't got a licence currently, so they're not open
I
currently.
said you're potentially allowing. I said potentially allowing.
But it needs to be points of clarification from them. You have still got your chance of objection. You are number 12 on here. So if it's not a clarification,
Well, you didn't answer my question when you went there, so that's what I was asking.
but they would be going to obviously view the premises for this application come before us. They do not currently have a licence to serve alcohol, so it wouldn't really matter what time of the day they went there,
Well, of course it will, because you potentially...
because they're not open as a bar currently, because they don't have a licence
You
currently,
need to assess the area, that it is a residential area.
and
That's
that
what
they
needs to
have
take into
visited.
account.
I've got one thing to say. The actual hatch, what Mr. Hedburn is put in the window, I believe it's the conservation area, the whole area. So it is not in keeping with the area, and he would have needed permission for this. We have reported it to Mick Handley. This is just one thing he does on a frequent basis.
Michael, I don't believe the servant hatch would come under the licensing. It would be planning. Am I
Yes,
correct?
it would. But I'm making a point that he knows it's a conservation area. He's been in the area
But
a
we're
long
here for
time.
licensing, so you would need to take that to the planning department.
We have.
So
Well, I have.
that's fine. Any further questions with relevance to the licensing?
Okay.
Thank you. Do you have any further questions? No. Have committee members got any questions for our licensing officer today?
Yes, I'm not quite sure how it applies at the moment, because obviously everything's a little bit up in the air with what exactly you're requiring of your building. But there was a part that said because this is a busy area for families coming off the pier, families get together in that area. And it did worry me a little bit that an open bar would expose minors perhaps to antisocial behaviour at any point in any day, that could be adhered to, that you would be more, if this is how it goes and you're planning to have your bar as it is. Because I've been to the pier many times and I've seen families coming for the day and they're all together as a family with little children, and you're in a prime spot, lovely position there. But if you're going to be selling as an open bar, I'm always more thoughtful of the exposing minors to the fact that there is alcohol there, taking it to the beach or wherever they're going, that you would be mindful about.
Open bar. In how I see obviously open bar is like the whole sort of front open. You can like sort of literally just open to walk in. What we're sort of proposing is having it's a window where they can just walk up like a burger van, like a kiosk. You walk up instead, because generally people at the beach have got bikinis on and swimming shorts, and they don't like to go into a building as such. So they can just literally walk up to the serving hatch, buy a drink, and walk away. So that's where, and it's again, it's no different to what we had at the pier. We had a bar on the front of Walton Pier where the bollards are. We had a big burger van on the front of there, and that had all the beer taps and all the things in there. So it's identical. That was 3-4 years ago. So it's identical to what we're doing on that side, but it's on the other side of the road. And there was no objections. There was no fights. There was no antisocial behaviour. There was no loudness. Everything was okay. It's just, we're offering people what they are asking for, and they want to be able to just walk up, buy a drink, and take it away. And if I could just answer to one of the ladies here, they said to the licensing team, they keep saying it's a residential area. It's by far not a residential area. There's no way you could call that residential area. You've got the pier on this side, you've got my commercial units on the opposite side. It is, to get to where these people live, the proper way, you walk up the hill, you come in Clifton Court, which is like round the back of where we are. I have several.
If you could, excuse me, if you could come through the chair, please don't interrupt, or I will have to ask you to take a seat on the seats behind. Thank you.
I've got several letters here that we had wrote for the residents who live above my bar. And there's six letters there with not one objection or anything. Now these people here are 200 or 300 yards away from where my bar is. So if anyone was going to complain, it would be the people living directly above, and there's no objection whatsoever. The other side of my bar is the beach huts, or the beach. I didn't go into it, but I spoke to a lot of them, and every one of the beach huts was really hoping this goes through, because they'd like to come and get a bottle of wine or a pint of lager and take it away. There's hundreds of beach huts outside, so there's, to say we're in a residential area. And another thing, Walton Pier has got a licence to sell alcohol 365 days a year from 10 in the morning until 12 o'clock at night. But as the lady pointed out, it shuts at 6 or 7 o'clock. Just because you've got a licence to serve alcohol from 11 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock in the morning as the pier is, it demonstrates, and they've both admitted it themselves, that they don't do that. So I'm not a fool by far, and I would not operate that bar in the winter months of, it is like I said, you can, tumbleweed blows down the road. So the only reason I put in for the every day in the hours was literally some days, like on a Boxing Day for instance, there's get a lot of swimmers go swimming in the sea and things like that. I didn't want to have to ask the licensing team for a day to open. New Year's Day we would open, but from after the 6 weeks I doubt it would be open. Maybe a couple of weekends in October for the half term, but it is literally going to be a seasonal thing. But I don't want to class it as a seasonal thing. I want it to be as many days I want to open, but it will only be when the people are there. And realistically, go until 10 o'clock at night, as these two ladies said, the pier shuts. In peak time, I think the pier closes 8 o'clock. Some weekends it may go till 10, and that's why I could have asked from 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning if I wanted to, but I didn't, because we was being realistic with the time scale of what we know of. And I think 12 till 10 o'clock is perfectly reasonable. As I say, from most of the time, like last night, we shut there 5:30, we was closed. And I think that's what time it would have been if the bar was open, maybe gone till 7 o'clock, but I doubt it would go until 10 o'clock. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Thank you, Councillor Davidson.
Sorry.
Councillor Davidson's first. You will have your turn, but you do have to wait. You can't just interject. This is why it's a meeting and we have a chairperson. You come through the chair. So you will... It's Councillor Davidson will ask a question here. I'm well aware of what I'm doing here. So if you can just be polite and keep it calm. We're here to obviously listen to everybody's views and you will have your turn.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. You said in your statement that it'd be nice to open a bar so people can get a bottle of wine there. Is there no other bars on the beachfront then?
No. You got the tavern is up the hill. Pete Little used to be the manager of Walton Pier, and I was talking before I put the bar in. We all get along. We're all friends. And I said to him, Pete,
All I'm asking is is that the only bar that's on the seafront?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Thanks for that.
Thank you. If you'd like to come back. Oh, sorry, if I just... enforcement officer.
Thank you, Chair. It was just a quick one for Mr. Hebborn as well in regards to when you were doing your statement, you said there's now additionally going to be 4 bar staff. Could you confirm sort of what hours they will be doing? Is that ongoing?
Yeah, from when we open till when we obviously close.
Yep. And you said in regards to security, can I confirm that they're going to be SIA?
Yeah.
They are. Perfect. And the last question, Chair, was in regards to the disabled toilet. Obviously, when we turn up to the premises, there wasn't no toilet. No. So can you confirm that's an official disabled toilet?
If we need to have a disabled toilet on site, if that's actually under the regulations, I will there is provisions to put a disabled toilet there. That's not a problem. But if I don't need a disabled toilet, do I need to have a disabled toilet? I know it's nice to have one, but there is a disabled toilet at the toilet block, which is 50 yards away. But if I don't need to have to make it a disabled toilet, you just got to put the handrail in and the things like that. But at the moment, the toilet we've got is a normal standard porcelain toilet. If you have a disabled toilet, it has to be a lot more different. So what I'm saying, if we do need to have it disabled, I will make it disabled to comply. But if we don't need a disabled toilet, I'd rather not. But that's it. If it comes in a condition, it's a condition I can abide by.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you.
If you'd like to come in now, if you've got any points of clarification.
Mr. Hennon just said that we were 200 to 300 yards from his bar. We're 20 to 30 yards tops from his bar, from my balcony and flat. And he also said that we don't have access down there. We have to go all the way around. Our access is directly on to the front of the pier. So I just want to clarify that point, that what he said is totally untrue. I mean, I'm happy to read my statement at some point, but I believe that's later.
Yep, Are there any further questions from... No. Right, so we now move on to you. So it's for the people that have objected to, obviously you can present your objections again or obviously raise any other concerns you have. Now is your time.
Well, everybody here has read my objections, so I don't need to read it.
It's just if you had anything further to add or anything you wanted to highlight. You don't have to say...
I mean, I won't read out the entirety of my statement here, but I will dispute that this is primarily a residential area. There's Seaview Court, the old Pier Hotel, has approximately 17 flats in there. Clifton Court, which fronts it, has approximately 17 flats as well, which were built when there was a bar there many, many years ago. So the fact that there's a bar there then is irrelevant. Then there's the pier, and just up is a cafe. I'd like to think that the licensing people go and have a site visit of the old area at certain times of the day, because most of the time it is residential. The piers, as Mr. Hebborn agrees, is closed at 5 o'clock most days, 8 o'clock in the summertime, and it's closed all winter. I do appreciate that what he says, that his licence is not for every day of the week, it's so that the licence covers in for special days and whatever. but the area is mainly a residential area with loads and loads of families. I spoke to those families who Mr. Heaven says he has letters from agreeing with his bar, and several of them told me that they are against it, but they're reluctant to have objected here because they share the same landlord. So that's a point of dispute, and we just disagree on that. I'm hoping that you've read all my reasons as to why, with litter, antisocial behaviour, etc., etc. I don't really want to read out my entire statement. I'd just like to think that you've all read it, and I'd implore you not to allow this licence to go ahead, in which is mainly a residential and family area.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Are there any from? Obviously, yep. You can ask if you want a question or a point of clarification made. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like the lady. I can forget her name. It's Catherine. You say it's a residential area, and there's many families through there all the time, outside the pier, etc. But I think we're getting a bit confused with like a cul-de-sac of people. If you're in a cul-de-sac and the people that walk through there, you would say that was not right, because that is, the people are coming to Walton Pier for a day out, to come to Walton on Naze for a day out. They walk along that, it's a promenade. So it's not residential. There's nobody living on the promenade, is there?
Well, after all the 17 flats of Seaview and Clifton Court front the promenade.
No, back the promenade.
We don't back the promenade.
How do you get into Seaview Court?
From them gates, right by your burger vans, as you well know.
No, just so if this is a promenade here.
If you could just one at a time, not both of you. Thank you.
Car park access. They only have walking access.
No, but
we have both.
What I'm saying is, this is a promenade here.
Yeah.
My premises is here.
Yeah.
If the flats here are overlooking the sea,
yeah.
It's not the front of the building, is it? The front of the building, if you go up the hill and come down the side where it says Seaview Court and Clifton Court, when you walk into the main bit, that is the front of the building.
It doesn't matter whether it's the front or the back of the building. The back of my flat fronts the pier.
You just answered your own question.
So it's irrelevant whether it's the back of my flat or the front of my flat.
What I'm trying to say is, I don't want to get into an argument, but what I'm trying to say is, you're saying it's a residential area, but it's a promenade. It's a beach promenade where many families came.
I think we're well aware. Obviously, you're not going to agree, so I think you've raised your point, and you've obviously raised your point.
Can I answer that as well?
You can, I want to say you can do your objections. Yeah.
Going back to my place, my front door actually face that way. That's the only way I can get into my flat. It's the only flat who has the main front door opposite the pier.
It's not, is it? It's facing Seaview Court, your door. You're not making it very clear to people. I'm just saying, your door doesn't face the pier.
We can't have this to and fro. If you could obviously let the lady speak and then come in.
I drive down Pier Approach, I turn right next to his burger vans to the electronic gate, which is the only access I have to my premises, and my front door and my front window is directly opposite there.
Yep, you can come back and answer.
And like they just said, her access, I say it's a couple of 100 yards away, but they must have stepped it out, so they're saying it's 20 yards away. It's nowhere near what we're trying to do here today, and I think these two ladies have got a major problem with my burger vans, as they keep bringing up.
We're not. They're well aware we're not here for the burger vans. We're just here for the bar.
Going back.
If you could not interject, or I will have to ask you to take a seat behind. Thank you.
And the lady just said, I'm just trying to clarify. I'm not telling no lies here today. I'm just telling the truth as it is. And this lady here has just said to you people that don't know where she lives that her door faces where I'm trying to do, and faces Walton Pier. It doesn't. Her door faces the side.
If you could just let him finish. We can't keep having these interruptions. I'm really sorry, but it's not how we do things. So you either respect, and I will bring you back to speak, but do not keep interrupting. It is the last warning. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what I'm saying is her door faces the side of Seaview Court, nothing to do with where I am. But thank you.
Do committee members have any questions for our objectors at all? Right, so obviously both parties, are you happy with, you've asked all the questions you want to ask, but they've got to be questions, not
Yes.
statements.
Yes.
So if you've got any further questions you want to ask,
Yes.
if you can come through the chair and we will do those now.
I'm concerned that the area has only got one lamppost down there.
That's not a licensing issue, I'm afraid. You would have to take that up with highways.
Was it just the fact that it's
It's
not well
it's in
lit?
your, I'm well aware it's in your objection
Okay.
that you put in, but it's actually not a licensing issue.
Okay.
Thank you. Any further questions anybody wanted to ask before we close and we make our decision? Yeah, Mr. Hebben, thank you.
I thought they were going to answer their questions and I was going to reply. In the three objections that we had for the online, whatever you call it, the blue notice, when you get the free notice, one of the concerns from either one of these ladies was broken glass. There's no broken glass because we're not selling glass bottles. It's only plastic, and that was a big concern. Another concern they had was youths and social behaviour. We're not serving youths, we're serving people of the correct age. I'm just trying to think what else they was complaining at, but everything they, again, the street light the lady was complaining about, there's nothing to do with what we was on about. And I think that's it, thank you.
Thank you, yes.
So I'm a little bit confused. So if the fact that there's little lighting down there, the fact that it's a residential area, the fact that it's a quiet thoroughfare, none of these are taken into account with licensing, so you don't worry about
They are, but they aren't our remit. So if you want more lampposts, you would need to contact your county councillor to ask for more lighting. We look at the overall picture. As you're well aware, we look at all the objectors and we have the 4 licensing objectives, which are listed obviously in here. The prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance and the protection of children from harm. So you don't need to tell us our job. We are well aware of what we are here to do. We read all your objectives, we look at everything fairly and we make our decision based on what we have in front of us. So if you could be respectful, it would really be appreciated. Thank you. So obviously you're happy you've summarised, you've said everything. You happy you've put your objections forward? Both of you? Are you happy that you've put your objections? Well, of course, we've all read them. We're well aware of our remit here today. So if everyone's satisfied, they've said what you wanted to say. Obviously, no new issues can be raised after this point. So we are now going to retire to make our decision. Okay, and we'll be back as soon as we can. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Can you all still hear me? Yeah, lovely. Yeah. Thank you. We've made our decision today. So the summary of the decision of the Premises Personal Licences Subcommittee on the 20th of July 2026. The subcommittee has given careful consideration on this application, the premises being The Beach, Unit 3, Seaview Court, Pier Avenue Approach, Walton-on-the-Naze, Essex, CO148DZ. In reaching its decision, we have taken into account the views expressed by the applicant, Mr. Hebborn. A report of the application was made by Emma King, who stated that an alternative plan was submitted on the 24th of June 2026, being the final date of representation, which showed drinks needing to be sold from a hatch. In accordance with the Licensing Act, relevant consultation has been undertaken and 3 representations were received from members of the public. 2 objectors were present at the hearing, and there was also an objection from a relevant authority, being the Licensing Authority. In her report, Emma King also stated that the applicant was advised that any proposed amendments will be circulated. Mr. Hebborn stated in his submission that if it will make it easier, he can remove the arcade. He said the premises had previously been a bar, but had not served as a bar for many years. He's just wanting to give people what they want. He stated that he had written letters to the individuals above the premises and there was no objection. Meanwhile, these guys are 300 metres away, and if anyone should object, it should be those individuals. This was said in reference to the objectors in the room. He stated that it will be a seasonal thing, but I don't want to class it as a seasonal thing. Objectors present at the hearing were Hayley Mann and Catherine Griffin. In their objections, Catherine stated that she is a resident of Clifton Court and that when the premises was previously a bar, Clifton Court had not been built. She implored the committee not to grant the licence for the various reasons given in her objection, both in person and in writing. Mr. Hebborn was asked if there was a working toilet, to which he said yes. John Leonard, on behalf of the Licensing Authority, stated in his submission that the Licensing Authority is not satisfied that the applicant has demonstrated sufficient measures to mitigate the risks associated with introducing alcohol to a child-centred environment, and that should the committee be minded to grant a licence, conditions should be imposed. He stated that the applicant seeks the sale of alcohol on and off the premises. However, during the site visit and in discussions with the applicant, a number of concerns arose, i.e. there was no toilet and the customers were required to use the public toilet, little information on CCTV coverage, the introduction of a hatch and the continuing evolving nature of the licence has been a point of concern. Questions were posed to the applicant, i.e. how many bar staff, to which he said there will be 4 with a doorman, making sure all is fine. Mr. Hebborn said the toilet had since been installed since the drawing was received. When asked about a fire exit, he said that there can be one if needed, as there was a door that could serve as an exit. The applicant stated that the fire chief had been to the site with no concerns. When asked about the noise being monitored and litter being removed, he said we have a waste management and Veolia would collect, and as for the noise, if it gets excessive, people will be told to quieten down. When asked about CCTV, he was asked what measures are in place, and he said the staff will vigorously monitor it. When asked, do you have disabled toilets and access, he stated that there is a toilet but not disabled. However, if that were a requirement for one to be installed, he would do so. When asked where people would sit, Mr. Hebborn's response that drinks will be in plastic cups and customers can drink anywhere they want. When asked what hours will the 4 bar staff be doing, he stated that they would be for the full opening hours, and he was also asked about security, is it SIA, to which he said yes. In clarification, the licensing officer Emma King stated that the premises has not held a licence since the authority became a licensing authority. The subcommittee has also considered the licensing objectives, namely the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, and the prevention of public nuisance and the protection of children from harm. The application has been determined on its own merit, and the decision in this application is to refuse the application. The Licensing Committee is concerned with the state of inconsistency in Mr Hebbon's application and submission, and the consistent shift in his position is cause for concern and not in accordance with the licensing objectives. In his submission, he mentions customers buying alcohol in cups, which is not in line with the application before the committee. There is concerns for public welfare and the safety and the protection of children from harm, as there is potential of alcohol in children's gaming areas, amongst others. There has been no legal advice from the legal advisor in arriving at our decision. Anyone aggrieved by this decision can appeal to the Magistrates' Court within the relevant statutory period, and you will get notification of this decision in 5 days. Lovely. Now move to the date of the next scheduled meeting will be at a time and date not yet specified. I now close the meeting. Thank you.